Table A, item 18. What does it say? Table A, item 18 of the Land Title Survey Specification or ALTA Survey Spec says, pursuant to sections 5 and 6, and applicable selected Table A items, excluding Table A item 1, include as part of the survey any plottable off-site, for example, appurtenant, easements disclosed in documents provided to or obtained by the surveyor. What does that mean in plain English? We're going to explain. So what does it mean? First part of it says pursuant to section 5 and 6 and applicable selected Table A items excluding Table A item 1. So what does that mean? What do section 5 and 6 tell you? Well, that tells you you got to do a field survey if you need to locate those offsite easements. You have to show the easements on the map. So section 5 is field survey. Section 6 of the spec is what's shown on the map. So you have to include them in the field survey if needed and show them on the map. And then you have to meet the requirements of the other checked Table A items except for item 1, which means you don't have to monument the easements. So for example, if they check the Table A item that says you have to locate utilities, then according to this Table A item number 18, you would have to locate utilities in the offsite easements. I don't think that's what people intend most of the time, so you want to make sure that you negotiate with your surveyor about what other Table A items may apply to the offsite easements, if any. But that's what that part of the Table A item means. It means you have to put them in the field survey if necessary, and you have to show them on the map. Okay. The next part of the Table A item says include any plottable offsite or pertinent easements. Okay. So what does that mean? So this Table A item is telling you that you have to include offsite easements that are attached to the subject parcel in your survey. Okay? They have to be mappable, so they can't be blanket or other easements that can't be mapped. They got to be mappable or plottable. Okay? They have to be appurtenant or attached to the parcel. Okay? They're offsite, right? So they're off the subject parcel. So these are usually utility easements or access easements. I suppose it could be like a view shed easement. Okay? So if you've got a access road to a landlocked parcel that's served by, if you have a parcel that's served by an access easement, that access easement is going to be off-site, right? It's going to cross over other property to get you to a public road. That would be an example of the kind of easement that they're talking about in Table A item 18. So in this case, you'd have to actually go map that easement, okay? You'd have to map it even though it's off the subject parcel because they check the Table A item. The next part of the Table A item says disclosed in docs provided to or obtained by the surveyor. So what does that mean? What does that part of the item mean? That means you have to give me a list of the easements, client, right? Or your title company does. Typically, it will be your title company. Now, if I have other documents that I have obtained as part of the survey of the subject parcel and they reveal an offsite easement, this says I have to map that. So, for example, if there's an offsite easement shown on one of the neighboring, a survey map of one of the neighboring parcels, then I would have to show this. But to really meet the requirements of this Table A item, if you are the bank or the buyer and you really want to know where the offsite easements are, which is a good idea, you got to work with your title company and get the surveyor a list of the easements. Okay. So just to review, what does this Table A item say? Right? We talked about the 3 parts. You got to comply with Section 5 and Section 6 of the spec, which means you have to include the easements in the field survey and you have to map them. Okay. The easements have to be plottable. This Table A is talking about offsite easements, right? That's the second part. So they're plottable offsite easements, typically attached or pertinent to the subject parcel. And then the third point, the third part of the Table A item is you can't make me guess what easements there are, right? So I either have to find them in my own research or you've got to give me a list, right? As a land surveyor, you have to provide the list. And typically the way this works is your title company will provide me with a list of the offsite easements. So what if you check this Table A item, what does that mean I have to do as the boundary surveyor? Well, it means I basically have to go and do a mini boundary survey of all the easements, right? So I've got to review the documents you provide me, right? I might have to do some additional research. I got to perform a field survey to locate the easements on the ground. I have to evaluate evidence and resolve the location of those easements. Then I have to map them, right? I got to draw them up. So this can be a lot of work. In fact, depending on the parcel, Mapping offsite easements can actually be more work than surveying the subject parcel boundary itself. Just depends, right? But you can imagine if you had a small parcel with a really long access road or a really long utility easement, it could actually be more work to survey the easement. Okay, so it's not a small amount of work. So there's a couple gotchas or a couple things you want to remember when you check this Table A item. This usually requires a land title report for each of the adjoiners, each of the neighboring parcels to the subject parcel. So there are some additional title costs here, okay? And your title company is going to want to get paid for that, and that's not unreasonable. So there is going to be some extra coordination with the title company and probably an extra fee from the title company to do this. And the other thing is, it's really hard for the land surveyor to estimate this ahead of time. I really need to know how many easements there are off-site, and I need to have an idea of what those easements look like before I can estimate this item. So a lot of times if you check this Table A item, I'm going to tell you it's a time and materials task until I get the list of the easements, right? Or I'll give you a lump sum estimate, but I'm going to want to review the easements first because I just don't know what the title company is going to find, right? It's kind of a roll of the dice. The other thing I would tell you about Table A item 18 is it's rarely checked, but I think it's important. I think it should probably be checked on every single survey. I understand why it doesn't get checked. It doesn't get checked most of the time because it's extra title work. But I mentioned in one of my other videos, some of my other videos, the most of the expert witness work I do is related to offsite easements that serve the subject parcel. So this is the most frequently litigated item that I have in my practice. And I think if you're doing your due diligence and you're the buyer or the bank, you should really check Table A item 18 and get this work done. The best thing to do though is to have the list of easements from the title company before you get pricing from a surveyor for an ALTA survey that includes this Table A item. So here you go, Table A item 18, what is it? Survey and mapping of offsite easements that serve the subject parcel, right? They're pertinent or attached to the subject parcel. Got to meet the other requirements of the spec, right? Do a field survey, show them on the map if you can, and typically you're going to have to provide the surveyor with the list of those documents. Now you know what Table A item 18 is. Most of the time you should probably be checking this item on your Table A.